so glad that you're gone, girl. I'm so glad that you're gone. I want you to know what's a blessing. The day you up and leave was a blessing. A blessing. I'm feeling so blessed. Oh yes, when you leave was a blessing. A blessing. My hands up high, I'm winding low. I'm glad you go. Like I never happy before. My hands up high, I'm winding low. I'm glad you go. And I don't want to no more.
Tune in to Betterments with host Bass, Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. for a program that educates and is solution-based. Bass tackles the issues that matter to you, providing a platform to speak your mind and find solutions. That's Betterments with Bass, with a focus on education and resolution. This is all about making things better for you. You can reach us via phone and WhatsApp to share your thoughts and find solutions to the issues that matter to you. So if you want to make a difference and have your voice heard, tune into Freedom 106.5 FM and join us for Betterments with Bass, Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Better for you. Only on Freedom 106.5 FM, where we believe that your voice matters. Power up your Saturdays with Carrie V's electrifying energy on Speak Your Mind Saturdays. Here, you're not just tuning in, you're transforming the show into a vibrant tapestry of opinions, laughter, and spirited debates. Get set for a day packed with the fun, the burning issues, and Carrie V's infectious personality. Join the fun, fuel the conversation, speak your mind. Saturdays with Carrie V on Freedom 106.5 FM. Expression is who we are. Take control. The all-new talk radio. Freedom 106.5. Speak your mind.
Hey, good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago, and good afternoon to the world, and welcome, Freedom 106.5 FM. Carrie V is here, I'm in your company, and of course, we are into We the Youth. I want to thank Bass, no time to waste, for holding on the past three. Thank you so much, Bass. And of course, you can catch him here next Monday, same time, same place, from 12 noon to 3 p.m. on Betterments with Bass. Wherever you are going, whatever you're doing, please keep it safe. I know it's our turn to carry you all the way to 5 p.m. Let me say good afternoon going out to my co-host, Rudolph Hanamji. Hello, Rudolph.
Good afternoon, Carrie, and to all our viewers and listeners out there on Freedom 106.5 FM.
So is this a tic-tac-toe? Because I'm not seeing a Narian here. What's happening?
Well, we talked a lot these last few days about government policy. And unfortunately, due to lack of policy in his area in relation to flooding, he's not able to make it because he can't leave his house.
And that's unfortunate because, I mean, whole morning, even up to last night, we had so many downpour. We had a lot of rain all over Trinidad. I'm not sure about Tobago, but I know for sure. I mean, I love the rain already. I wasn't coming here today, you know.
Well, we're in the same boat, to use a water analogy.
No pun intended.
The interesting thing about it is that this is not a new challenge that we've been facing. And what irks people the most is that we've spent billions of dollars in national infrastructure projects.
Right.
And while, yes, the weather is something that is not always predictable to a fault. So you may be able to, we can predict some weather patterns.
Right.
So one could say, well, you know, we thought it wouldn't rain as hard. The fact remains that where areas in the country continuously flood, more should be done specifically in those areas. Because you have enough data to show that even if the rainfall is less than predicted, those people are still impacted.
Now, let me ask you this, Sir Rudy, because I think it was yesterday, because we were speaking about climate change and your health, right?
Yes.
And I was mentioning to Katrina, what's her name, if I'm not mistaken, and Anarian and the doctor. I was telling them, I was like, listen, up until like 7, 8 years ago, where I am at, it never used to flood, right? And all of a sudden now, I had to get a boat. Rudy,
There
where
you
am I
go.
getting a boat from?
So again, the challenge with where Trinidad and Tobago finds itself, Carrie, is simple, and nobody truly speaks about this
Correct.
and the way I'm about to say it, because it's frightening when you say it.
Yeah.
We have allowed so many cracks in the foundation that we now have to deal with fixing those, plus all of the new problems that are emerging.
Yeah.
So your example proves that point. So we haven't been able to completely prevent or mitigate flooding in high flood-prone areas over decades.
Right.
But now you have new areas.
We have new areas,
also
so
experiencing
we fit
flooding.
into that category.
So unless, and I keep going back to, unless we can truly, in a genuine and exponential way, diversify our economy, where are we going to get the resources, financial resources,
Right.
to fix all of these simultaneous problems?
But let me ask you something, Rudy. What is the fix it? How can we reduce or, minimize flooding in Trinidad and Tobago? What can we do? Because some person's saying, we should make, I'm calling it drains, right? I can't
Right,
remember
like
the
runoff.
exact, to the sea. Some persons are saying, stop building, stop cutting down the trees. Some saying, push everything back. So what is the real fix it to flooding?
Well, actually, we have to do all of the above. There's no one, and again, that is what makes national policy such a complex issue. Because believe it or not, flooding, or to prevent flooding, there's also an education component.
Oh, well, true. Yeah.
To fix flooding, there's a technology component.
Right.
To fix flooding, there's a human capital component. So there's a health issue related to flooding, because when it floods, you may have mosquitoes breeding,
yeah.
you may have water that is no longer potable that people ingest and they become sick. So national policy has to always be intersectional. You can't say, I'm going to fix this area in Trinidad alone, because it doesn't work that way. And we have, do you notice, Carrie? I'm sure you do, and it must irritate you the same way it does most of us. When the flood waters recede, do you see the amount of pollution, especially plastic bottles?
Yes.
And how many years has this country been debating the single-use plastic bill?
About 100.
The styrofoam bill, which in
100.
other countries they've already
100.
banned it.
100.
So your question, unfortunately, the answer to it is you have to finally do many things at the same time. You can't fix one thing anymore.
$1 million question, Rudy. Why do you think that they're not thinking about this? Because, we are sitting here, and a lot of our listeners who face this flooding problem, they have solutions. But how come the bigwigs, and as I always call them that, the bigwigs, how come all they can't think about these simple things?
In almost every report done, whether it's by the multinational agencies or even the University of the West Indies, when they look at government policy implementation, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the Caribbean, one of the common denominators that is identified for hindering proper implementation is actually a deliberate vested interest in maintaining the status quo. And they directly correlate that approach to how political parties are financed.
Right.
And unfortunately, there are... when you shift a government policy, it naturally has a knock-on effect on the existing economic regime.
Right.
When you shift it, it demands that the current economic regime be re-engineered. So another type of ecosystem is created. So take, for example, if you implement technology in teaching.
Right. Okay.
Naturally, there's going to be a knock-on effect, because some teachers will not be able to sustain that level of knowledge.
Right.
They will not be trainable. So they may have to lose their jobs, right? However, if you know that is going to happen, you have to have a correlated government policy to deal with those people. You don't just let them fall away.
But we have been seeing that too.
And that is the problem. The way that we think about policy is disaggregated. It is not mature thinking.
You think
at
it's
many
because they are
levels.
not affected directly?
That is part of it, that policymakers, many
Because I mean, it's easy to jump on a jet, you know, or a helicopter
many people
and reach
at
the
that
police
level
vein.
are privileged. They are insulated from the everyday challenges.
Wow.
And it's easy to get on a platform, and that's why we've been asking young people to tune in and listen, because it's easy to get on platforms across the country, different colors, and say, I will do A, B, and C. But what have we been saying? How? Haven't we been asking people, can you ask somebody, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, but you know we're not getting the answers, right? But that is a topic for another day, Rudy. It's just about 13 minutes after 3, and if you're not joining us, good afternoon and welcome. This is Freedom 106.5 FM, Carrie V is here. And of course, this is We the Youth, 13 minutes after 3. And I know we have an amazing guest, and I must say amazing because I follow you on Instagram as well. I feel like I want to send him a message, Rudy. Yeah. To make him know that this is me here, so he could follow me back. I'm just saying. Yes. Let me see if I can pull up your mic. Let me hear you. Give me a mic check.
Mic check, 1,
Yeah,
2.
see, just like that. I like him already. He should be on all the time. Yeah, like all the time.
I like this gas again, my man.
Yeah. I just do them kind of thing.
Good
So
way to
Rudy-
start the interview.
Yes,
The,
so
the
Rudy,
challenge is that Kyle is busier than
everybody else.
put
Yeah,
together.
you remember, I just follow him on
we're
Instagram, so I
we're
just
very,
see.
very thankful and privileged to have Kyle Maloney with us
So
today.
before we go to the break, give us a
Yes.
brief introduction of him. We'll go to take the break, and then of course we'll get back into the
Well,
conversation.
when people hear the name, they may initially align him as the co-founder of Tech Beat Retreat,
I know that.
which has been perhaps the Caribbean's leading technology conference and has been recognized internationally. I mean, he has attracted some of the top players in the technology industry to the Caribbean. But he's also an investor and an entrepreneur and a digital marketer in his own right.
Right.
And he's been able to reach beyond technology to be recognized in different fields. And as I said before, helping brands in industry, finance, and consumer goods to really position themselves properly. So since 2018, Kyle has served on the Next Gen board of the IADB's 2021 Next Gen. It's a coalition of young people that look at policy, look at ideas, and try to facilitate development.
Right.
So we're going to tap into all of those areas of his specialization.
Yeah, when we come
because
back.
today's topic is our firewall, our future, our firewall. Can the young people be the firewall to ensure that we break the cycle?
Our future, our firewall. And of course, if you're not joining us, good afternoon and welcome. This is We the Youth. We're going to take a quick break. It's just about 16 minutes after 3. When we come back, so much more with Kyle Maloney and, of course, my co-host, Rudolph Hanamji. We're going to take a break and be back. So keep it locked.
The following is a paid political announcement.
It's voting time, and know all you big and all you have sense. So ask the right question. Kamla, how you just sleep at night? With Philip Alexander in UNC bed?
People don't want nothing to do with these bandits.
Facts.
They don't want the UNC.
Now your UNC base vex. I sure you can't sleep at night.
Kamla know her day over. You have to know it too. UNC there, they bust, they mash up.
Kamla, you know who you in bed with?
It have plenty more around here.
When she looks to her right, she sees Ansel Roger, who dragged an effigy of her through the streets, calling her all manner of names in the process.
When you're lying in a UNC bed, I sure you can't sleep. You never know the backstabbers. That is a recipe for disaster.
No lies.
All you big and all you have sense. You have one choice this election.
Be ready, and be responsible.
Of course, this is a paid political announcement, but it's the truth.
Duh.
On April 28th, vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
This April, Freedom 106.5 FM presents Voices for the Silent, a campaign dedicated to raising awareness and standing up against child abuse. Too many children suffer in silence. It's time to change that. We're here to arm you with the tools, knowledge, and resources you need to identify, prevent, and respond to child abuse. Join us as we amplify the voices of survivors and take actionable steps to support at-risk children. Together, we can break the silence and be the change they need. Let's be the voice for those who cannot speak. Together, we can make a difference. Stand up, speak out, take action. Supported by the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
The best insight, instant feedback, accountability. The all-new Talk Radio Freedom 106.5.
And welcome back to We the Youth, live on Freedom 106.5 FM, where for the last few days, we've been inviting youth leaders to voice their opinions on national policies in areas of their specialization. We've been able to cover areas of AI, agriculture, healthcare, transportation, renewables, energy. And today, our topic, for those of you just joining in, is our future, our firewall. Can young people in today's society act as a literal and figurative firewall? So for those of you all who are not technology savvy, a firewall really is, simply put, a protection mechanism. It's something that you have to get through in order to access someone's system. So the question is, can young people act as a protective barrier to ensure that old ways of developing and implementing policy don't come into the present and future, that we stop the cycle so that younger generations don't inherit those gaps and issues? And we introduced our guest today, Kyle Maloney, tech entrepreneur, digital marketing expert, and investor extraordinaire. Kyle, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Hey.
And Carrie is fangirling
I
because
am.
she follows him on social media. And I encourage everyone to look for his handles. Kyle, what should they look
Kyle
at?
Maloney.
Kyle Maloney.
Yeah.
On Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, LinkedIn.
Yeah, Twitter, X.
But Kyle, like me, you are one. You know, some of our younger friends will tell us that we're becoming old, right?
Oh yeah, for sure,
But
man.
I would always be 21, eh? All right?
Forever 21.
Always there, of course. Always.
So
When you see what some of them 21-year-olds doing, you
yeah,
will say,
you're right. All right, okay, all right. Let's raise it to like
So-
about 28.
so on that note, you know, it's one thing to share with people bylines from your CV, but we always ask the guests to share a little bit more of what you want people to know about your journey. Like,
Yeah, man.
how did you get to where you're at? You were younger once. You would have had different dreams, different passions. What drives Kyle Maloney, and what could other people out there, especially younger folks who want to find themselves in a similar space, what should they know about life that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, wow. Such a heavy question. Start. Let's go. I think to answer the question of what do I want people to know about me that they might not necessarily know, I think one of the biggest things, I gave a talk about a week or two ago to some youth that for an event First Citizens did called Aspire Young Men.
Yes,
right?
we saw
Yeah,
that.
we
Yeah.
saw
reported
that
in the
one.
press.
Yeah. And what I was really trying to instill in the guys is to dream really big, you know, and that I think has been a big differentiator for me personally. A lot of the times when you're young, you think like you can't do that, you can't achieve that. Like nobody around you has done that, so a lot of the times you only dream as big as what you know, right?
Right.
Is you only think about what is possible based on the things that you're exposed to. So I gave them the example of like when you're a kid, a lot of us wanted to be like a fireman or a nurse or a doctor, you know, and these were the things that our parents brought home for us, and that is how big our world was. And I said, even though now they're a lot older and their world has expanded, I reminded them that there is so much more. And from a young age, I was blessed to have a father that really poured that sense of belief in dreaming really big into me.
That has come up a couple times with some
sure.
of our guests, that there was somebody, if not parents, but teachers, that helped them to dream.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the first starting point. First starting point really is dreaming about achieving really great things. Most times people say, "Why me?" Like that could be done, and really begin to put what the achievement looks like in some other category that is not themselves, and they begin to frame in their mind reasons why it cannot be them.
So they sort of self-limit.
Exactly.
Edit.
Exactly. You self cut out yourself from what is possible, and then once you unlock those shackles, your world of opportunity just opens tremendously, and you may not necessarily achieve the dream, but you'd be just so much further ahead than if you were limiting yourself. Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that perspective, because in a real way, that's what we want to unpack today.
Yeah.
So, Carrie, we've talked a lot over the last few weeks about, we have all these great ideas. And there are young people or people who are still in that young realm. They are like us, they're getting up there. So in maybe 5 to 8 years, we'll be seen as, old. But for now, we'll cling to the tagline. But so you're seeing people like yourself and others making some headway, right? So you were saying before we started, you were making the correct point that we're not terribly off in terms of there are good things happening. People are innovating, they're creating jobs, your enterprises, for example, have taken off. You've really assisted a lot of other people to get where they want to go. Now, two things can be true at the same time. We have good things to talk about. The but is, or the and is, we also have a lot of challenges.
For sure.
And the ones who stand to inherit the worst side. Because we grew up, would you agree with me that we kind of grew up in a generation of availability, of plenty, compared to what we heard about in the past? Like we grew up in
for sure, compared to our parents' time. Yeah, exactly. But I think the younger generation is coming into a space of even more, right? Even more. From the perspective, especially within the fact that how available information is to them, compared to even when we were growing up.
When we were growing up, they didn't have the internet.
Exactly, we grew up when
it came while we were
growing. Exactly. So that aging and dating us, right? A real cool example I'll give is that I had a call set up with two 15-year-olds after my talk on with First Citizens, right? Right, and they were talking to me about their brand that they want to build, a clothing brand, and it wasn't. They said that the clothing brand isn't just about fashion or style. They want the brand to mean something for people, and they want to build a community that believe and feel similarly about the way that they see the world.
Right.
Right, and I'm like, where did you learn this? I saw this guy on my TikTok, and I took his course. Right, and he was talking about building brands and building companies, and so we took the course and we understood then like it's not just about building a product, it's about building a community and entrenching a deep why as to what we do. And so our why and the community of what we're building is people that believe in themselves and believe that they could change the world and do amazing things, and so the hat that we're wearing, it represents that community of people that share that belief.
That is very uplifting.
I'm like, how old are you? Well, yeah,
no, but
we're 15.
It proves that we shouldn't be viewing young people through the same lens that they were viewed or we were viewed generations ago.
Exactly.
Now, the challenge remains, though, that right now, I think, unfortunately, that is still the exception to the rule. Where, like our education system, for the most part, you know that concept of the tunnel of innovation.
Yeah.
And studies have shown that the way we approach education is you actually make people less innovative as they get older, and you try to get them all to perform in a certain way.
Because the system was built to put people in factories. And
There you go.
so you don't want people to be innovative in a factory. You want them to
Just
follow the
follow.
rule.
Step 1 to 10.
Exactly, right? And the system has not really adapted to where we are today in reality. And so unfortunately there's that huge gap. And then the reality of where we've shifted is about to shift even more drastically with the onset of AI. You know, and so we need some major educational reforms. Yeah.
And that's why the program centers around policy.
Yeah.
Now, people use the word politics, but in engineering, they show we are re-educating people that the word politics really means business of the people.
Okay.
When you hear politics, people naturally think party politics, right?
Yeah,
they think about a
exactly.
color, a symbol, a song. But the
Yellow is the code, or the red and ready.
well, and now you have the blue this and the green that and
Right, yeah.
every color.
Yeah,
we really are the rainbow nation when it comes to politics. But when you go back to the core of what politics is really meant to be, it's a certain group of people being given that responsibility to effectively understand where a society needs to go, what are some of the levers that have to be pulled, how to manage resources responsibly, so that the greatest number of people can have that opportunity that you're describing.
Correct, yeah.
To have that awareness, that mindset shift in whatever field that they are passionate about, because you could be an artist, a technology entrepreneur, you could be someone who wants to be in design, any contractor, a plumber, a doctor, an engineer. But what we are seeing, the data is showing that government policy over the years, and this is not a new thing, has left a lot of people behind.
Yeah.
And we talk about crime. And when you look at the age ranges of the people who are the ones being slaughtered or slaughtering each other, they tend to be in the youth bracket, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. It's not typical that 40-year-olds are killing each other, you know.
But yet,
what's going on?
Yeah, so it's just about 3:30, and I know we've got to take a break. So, of course, guys, we're going to continue the conversation, the discussion. Continue sending me those messages via WhatsApp, 306-1065. And, of course, you can send me a voice note. We're taking that in the second hour. We are here with Kyle Maloney, and we are talking about... What are we talking about again, Rudy?
We are talking about our youth looking at our future and acting as our firewall.
Oh, yeah. We're not talking about the Great Wall of China.
Well, we can bring what's going on geopolitically into the conversation.
It's crazy.
But it's about us acting as a defense mechanism to ensure that younger people don't inherit failed government policies.
That looking kind of bleak to me, you know. I'm just saying.
But you're forever 21, so
of course,
with that mindset, Karen,
yes, you're right.
We're going to build this wall.
Of course we would, brick by brick, sand by sand. But anyway, guys, we're going to take a quick one and be back. Continue sending me those messages. We'll be back with the discussion. Keep it locked.
In a time of promises and politics, only one thing truly matters: your voice, your freedom. As Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls, Freedom 106.5 FM brings you the clearest conversations, the toughest questions, and real issues affecting your vote. No spin, no fluff, just fearless talk radio, live analysis, and unfiltered voices from every corner of the nation. Stream us live at www.freedom1065.com and follow the discussion on our social media pages at Freedom 106.5 FM, your voice, your freedom, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is the voice of the PNM. TNT, we're inviting you to join us as we write a new chapter with Prime Minister Stuart Young. On Wednesday, April 23rd, St. James, meet us at corner Bones Road and Church Street. Then on Thursday, April 24th, Sangre Grande, meet us at the PTSE Terminal. Hear from our chairman, Prime Minister the Honorable Stuart Young, and a lineup of powerful speakers. St. James, see you on Wednesday, April 23rd. Sangre Grande, see you on Thursday, April 24th. All meetings start at 6:30 p.m. This is a new chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. On April 28th, vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
This April, Freedom 106.5 FM presents Voices for the Silent, a campaign dedicated to raising awareness and standing up against child abuse. Too many children suffer in silence. It's time to change that. We're here to arm you with the tools, knowledge, and resources you need to identify, prevent, and respond to child abuse. Join us as we amplify the voices of survivors and take actionable steps to support at-risk children. Together, we can break the silence and be the change they need. Let's be the voice for those who cannot speak. Together, we can make a difference. Stand up, speak out, take action. Supported by the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
Tune in to Betterments with host Space, Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. for a program that educates and is solution-based. Base tackles the issues that matter to you, providing a platform to speak your mind and find solutions. That's Betterments with Base, with a focus on education and resolution. This is all about making things better for you. You can reach us via phone and WhatsApp to share your thoughts and find solutions to the issues that matter to you. So if you want to make a difference and have your voice heard, tune into Freedom 106.5 FM and join us for Betterments with Base, Monday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Better for you. Only on Freedom 106.5 FM, where we believe that your voice matters.
Coming from sold out houses in Port of Spain, CPR Productions presents 7-Year Itch. San Fernando, it's your turn. One night, one show, Naparima Boulder. It's happening on Sunday, 4th of May at 6:30 p.m. Directed by the talented Penelope Spencer. Starring Cecilia, Rodney, Peony, Saran, Kevon, and Siobhan. Tickets available at advertised outlets and islandetickets.com. Box office opens Thursday, 1st of May, and you can call 466-3111 or 683-4843. Or you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram at CPR Productions for further information. 7-Year Itch, one show, San Fernando. Don't miss it.
The following is a paid political announcement.
NT, we voting NTA. Voting, we voting NTA.
Visit www.ttnta.com. Vote NTA.
That was a paid political announcement.
Expression is who we are. Take control. The all-new talk radio. Freedom 106.5. Speak your mind.
And welcome back to We the Youth, the only program in Trinidad and Tobago right here on Freedom 106.5 FM, where we're bringing youth leaders forward to provide a platform to discuss public policy, politics, the business of the people in the lead up to this general elections. And over the last few weeks, we've been looking at topics such as energy, renewables, agriculture, technology. And for today's program on sort of, the weekend before the big day, we have with us in studio none other than Kyle Maloney. I think of him as an innovator. He's one of those people that can look at problems, Carrie, and really find new approaches to solving a problem.
Yeah.
And Kyle, we were talking before the break. We were sort of getting into the two sides of the coin here in our great country, where we have a lot, and in other cases we have too little bit, where there's a lack of equity sometimes in accessing opportunities. So with that innovation mindset, like if somebody were to give you the job to do a quick current state analysis of government policy and how it operates in our ecosystem, what would be sort of your high level assessment, and again, we're not focusing on necessarily just the last administration, but just generally how government policy has been developed and rolled out then. Again, pulling from whichever sector you've been involved in, what would be your high level assessment of where we're at? What is our current state when it comes to government policy?
So, disclaimer, you having me speaking outside of my core realm, all right? So I'm not a politician nor like an economist. But I'm an observer, and so from my observer perspective, I think if we're speaking about youth in particular,
yes,
I think that there's I'm thinking within like the last administration, there's been a lot of opportunities. There's been really pushed to the youth through the Ministry of Youth. Given that I've had some closer relations with them, and so I have more intimate understanding of some of the activities that are happening. And so me, myself, have been personally a part of a 40 Under 40 program, which has been a program that has been about youth mentorship.
Yeah, I have seen that. Right? I've seen that.
Right, has been about youth mentorship, right? And going all across the schools in the country, and really focused on schools that we feel are more disenfranchised. So we went to like Southeast Port of Spain, we went to Moruga, schools in Moruga, went to schools across Trinidad that aren't your typical secondary schools that we feel have access, the ones that we feel have less access, right?
Right, which is important.
Exactly, right? And we got to build some relationships with some of these youth and really understand some of the challenges that they're facing and give them airs and lights of hope of what is possible, right? But the challenges that they're facing are really complex. That goes beyond us coming in and providing a few hours of sunshine in a rainy day, right? But
or a rainy month,
or rainy life, man.
A rainy life.
Some people have really, really hard hands that they've been dealt, right? And so that by no means is a solution, but it's a start, right? It's a start and a connection point to somebody that you can see that looks like you, sound like you, who is achieving something that you may want to achieve, and now you have a connection point to be able to ask that person questions. Right. And so many of them have
which, as you said before, to just connect it to your earlier point, which some of them may not have had
exactly
as you did or I did.
Exactly.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct,
so sorry.
correct,
go
correct,
ahead.
Correct. Right. And so now they have a point of reference that they never had before.
Yeah, man. We're good to go.
Yeah, they had a point. Now they have a point of reference that they never had before, and a physical connection point. Like, I bought books for some of these guys and girls, some courses they asked me for, and then when actually one in particular, I was like buying some educational related things for them. A man sent me some sneakers. And some slippers to buy.
If you don't ask, you wouldn't get, right?
That's the same thing. Say the man
at least
the man say exactly. He say, well, I had to try. You know, so now they have not only heard story and connection point from somebody in real time.
Right.
So now they have a connection point that they can message somebody and ask real questions. And like I tell you, just last week, from the First Citizens program, I had a call with two guys who's 15, right? And we talking about their business, you know?
Wow.
You know, and so that those sorts of initiatives coming from places like the Ministry of Youth is really good. You know, it's how do we build this layer of mentorship and access point for the youth that wouldn't normally have that.
So what you're getting at is that there was someone or some group of policymakers took the opportunity to effectively engage with people like yourself and bring you in and make you part of the program. So I'm thinking we should adopt that philosophy at all levels of government, where younger people are deliberately, intentionally brought in, but not as PR. Like that program didn't look like PR.
No, it was very tangible and practical.
There you go.
But there's a gap, though. There's a gap. It's like, so then what happens next?
And I was coming to that because I've been seeing the images and the videos on the program, and I'm saying, but this is really good. However, when this is finished, what next? Is there a continuation, and how can you all
So again, you're an innovator, you're a disruptor, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would have had to answer that question in your own businesses. Like,
Yeah.
You start somewhere, you have to plan what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
How do, for younger people listening, what might be their role in determining the what next? Like other people who want to get involved and be part of the solution. What might they be called upon to do if you had to say to them, well, you all want to be part of changing things?
Yeah.
What could they do?
Well, I mean, so you're asking a broader question. Let me take it back to
Sure.
the example I was given, right? So practically, what I was telling them, what could be next, is that we need to meet the young people where they're at, right? And so it would be great if we had online community where they can get questions answered and provide support for each other that goes beyond the access points of support that they currently have, right? And that online community bridges the connection point from one event to the next, you know?
It maintains it sort of builds on the momentum and sustains it.
Correct.
It doesn't drop.
Exactly. Not drop off entirely, you know? And I think thinking about building on top of where we started there is really important, so that there's a level of sustainability to what we're doing, you know? So that's sort of the direction I was thinking as it relates to that initiative, and that sort of like policy framework that they really highlighted at the top and said, look, there's a gap that we want to fill. Young people do have access to other young people that it's always for them like older generation, older teacher, older somebody, you know, and so
but give them access to a network of their peers.
Somewhat, right? They're like 15, 16 sort of thing, and we're not.
But what I love about that is to see the youth at this age, you know, they have interest in it, and, you know, they have a vision, right? And a lot of youths around that age don't have that. So I really love that initiative. So it's just about 3:45, about 30 seconds away from 3:45. We've got to take a break. So let's take this break really quickly and then head back to the conversation.
Oh, yes.
Now, I saw our lines lighting up. So, of course,
please call us back. Yes.
I can't take the call now when I come back. All right? So when I come back, I'll take the calls. So send me that message via WhatsApp 306-1065. And when we come back, we'll take the few phone calls. Yeah?
Cool.
This is We the Youth, and we are here with Kyle Maloney and, of course, Rudolph Hanamji. We're going to take a quick break and be back. Keep it locked.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This is the big one. We ready. Calling out all PNM posse. PNM supporters assemble.
Yes, PNM.
We going Etihad, Saturday 26th April. This Saturday, 3 p.m. for the big red rally. Come support your PNM candidates. And now is the time we talking the things. They can't get away. Hear the Honorable Prime Minister Stuart Young SC and the political leader Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and a powerful lineup of speakers. The big ones, lots of entertainment, the top soca stars and more.
We used to carry it. We used to carry it when it ground. We used to carry it. We used to carry it.
All PNM supporters, rock and come in. Etihad Grounds, 26th April, this Saturday, 3 p.m. Because we ready, we responsible. We launching off to the new chapter.
Red is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
Red is the word. All 41 constituencies in the house. Everybody, we out there.
That was a paid political announcement.
This April, Freedom 106.5 FM presents Voices for the Silent, a campaign dedicated to raising awareness and standing up against child abuse. Too many children suffer in silence. It's time to change that. We're here to arm you with the tools, knowledge, and resources you need to identify, prevent, and respond to child abuse. Join us as we amplify the voices of survivors and take actionable steps to support at-risk children. Together, we can break the silence and be the change they need. Let's be the voice for those who cannot speak. Together, we can make a difference. Stand up, speak out, take action. Supported by the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
Welcome back, guys. Freedom 106.5 FM. This is We the Youth, and I'm here with Rudolph Hanamji and
Welcome back, folks.
Kyle Maloney.
Maloney. Yeah.
Did I say Michael before?
No, did you?
I did not hear that.
Maybe you said it in your mind.
I did.
All
Probably
right.
I want him to be a Michael, but I guess you know what? I'll settle for Kyle.
He looks like a Michael.
He looks Michaelish.
For real?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just
That's
on
not
top.
your middle name,
From here.
Nah, my grandfather was a Michael.
Yeah, see, right?
Hey.
You understand? You fit the description. But before we continue, maybe we can take a phone call.
Please,
Yeah,
yes,
let's
that's
see
why
who's
we're
there.
here. Good afternoon. Welcome to We the Youth.
Yes, good afternoon to you, lady.
Hi.
And gentlemen, Mr. Hananji and Mr. Kyle.
Good day, good day.
Hey, what's up?
Listeners, Princess Town.
Princess Tong in the house. Talk to us.
Yes, I'm so happy to be able to call in. Very important conversation and relevant. But, gentlemen and lady, I wanted to get your views.
Sure.
Are we in a situation of fire, gas, and water?
Fire, gas,
You're
and
talking like
water.
a chemist now.
I'll tell you why I say
Go
that.
ahead. Yeah, I think I know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
We have problems and we're looking for solutions.
Yes.
But there are those amongst us who seem to be fomenting and promoting some of the problems. And that is something we have to call out. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
With the youth, we passed a marijuana access bill, or however you want to call it there, and so on and so on, without at the same time having a requisite education program, at least at the schools and so on, to tell you, look, we are going in that direction, but let me warn you all, these are some of the consequences, the effects, the medical complications, implications, etc.
That is a very fair point because, sorry to cut you,
You
but
know?
we have similar education programs when it comes to other, like drugs
This is the point
and,
I am saying. As a
and
developing
alcohol, etc.
society, you need to put these measures in place to mitigate the negative fallout of some of these programs. And there are other examples I can give you. I just draw one.
No, but that
I
is a
am
good
saying-
analogy. We were making that point earlier
while-
that you have to have
while some of you,
correlated
Mr. Hananji,
policy.
like yourself and others are making a very valiant effort to get the agenda, to get the perspective, to get the information out there, etc., like Mr. Kyle and so on. We have to be clear that the population we are treating with here now needs, we need, as you're saying, crime is, there's the health component of crime now. So very good program. Let us keep the conversation going, but let us be aware that, there are some punctuation marks along the way we have to be aware of. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much.
Carrie, the caller made the point we were talking about at the beginning of the program,
Right.
where you asked, what's the fix-it, right? And
Mhm.
we said that you have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And many times...
Can I do that?
I am sure you can, because
Yeah.
just looking at you operating that board, I don't know if everyone out there appreciates. Carrie, I want to give you a round of applause for and the other operators as well, because you all have to manage many things at the same time. So, but the point I'm trying to make is, and to the caller's point, if you're really serious about defining policy that works properly,
right,
you have to sit down and be thorough. You have to figure out, okay, if I pull this lever, what are the other impacts it is going to have?
Correct.
And put things in place for those other impacts. So take Carnival as an example, right? When we sell Carnival to the rest of the world as the greatest show on earth, and it's made in Trinidad and Tobago, but 90% of the costumes are actually made in China.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense to me that our policy is that Carnival is our #1 tourism product, but most of the inputs that go into Carnival are imported, which means our foreign exchange. Think about it. The foreign exchange that the foreigners and the diaspora bring
come
back,
like you just sent it back.
it is going straight back out the door. So policy, Kyle, when we talk about public policy, what are some of the private sector approaches that you think, or even one that
we could
that
go
we
right
fail?
there.
Yeah,
We could
let's
go
talk.
right
Let's
there.
talk about it.
We could go right there. I think that should be identified as a major problem, and there should be incentives to make home.
Yeah.
Right. Incentives around the equipment to be right here. Incentives around hiring locals, and I mean that's what if it's one thing, our partner in the north trying to do. And we could learn from.
No names shall be called.
Please, I can't afford to get in trouble today.
We're not trying to make it about him by any means, but he has a country first philosophy. And a country first philosophy at all costs. All right, that's where the problem lies. The problem lies is all cost, right? But we need to have a similar philosophy, right? If we're seeing that tens of millions of dollars is going offshore, especially for an industry that we are so prideful around, that we say is we own, is we thing. Why do we not have an insulated environment that incentivizes makers, people, everything to be all here? Right? All here. Keep the creativity, keep the money, keep everything all here.
But is it that we don't have the raw materials to do that? Is that the problem?
Kyle, I'm going to push that to Kyle again, applying a business mindset, right? If you want to open a certain type of company in an existing ecosystem, what Kari is talking about is like what we call the supply chain, right? Now, some raw materials we don't produce here, but as an innovator, how might you approach that problem to reduce the dependency on an imported raw material? Like, what kind of mindset you have to bring?
So let me say feathers. Let's say for instance feathers and the pink ones and the orange ones. Let's see.
We running for folks listening out there. We're running a real-time workshop right here on We the Youth.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm taking all that I can get.
We found the right gentleman to put in the hot seat here.
Right. No. Great point. Right. So the point that you're saying is that the raw materials for the inputs that go into the end product not got here, which quite frankly is fine, right? Because what they're paying for isn't like, oh, I'm getting all my raw materials in China and then bringing it here and making it. Right. It's like a full product is made over there.
There you go.
All right.
Oh,
yes. What? Yes, Carrie. They send it to Carrie.
Somebody has been lying to me.
Well,
it's not yours,
us,
but somebody else. Because it was of my impression, and whichever person has been telling me is like they import the raw materials.
That is a minority.
And then they make
that
it
is a minority. You remember when we were younger, we would go with our parents to the mass camp,
right?
The lime,
and
we would
sit down. Hearts used to be there making and beating themselves.
Peter Minshall, that was part of the process.
But that was a long time.
Well, but it. So Kyle, to your point, I think I know where you're going with this, but finish your point. So.
Exactly, right? So the point is, fine, you can have your trading partners that are providing the raw material inputs, but we need to have incentivization around the end product, the value add item, which is what the design looks like and comes to life, should be made right here. You know, it should be made right here. And the reality is that the reason it's not made right here is because just cost efficiencies, right? Like, this is what China was designed to do, produce really high quality products in mass at scale, and it's extremely hard to compete. And so the only way to compete really is to provide a structured level of incentives that address those issues locally here for us.
Say that again. Say it. No, because a lot of times our experts say things, but it sort of flies over the head of the list. Say it again. What you
the only way to compete is for us to structure incentives that specifically address those issues as to why it's not going to work here. We know, and we know why, right? And so we need to provide tax incentives. We need to provide cash availability. We need to provide the education, the training. The
mentorship, like what you said earlier,
the availability of capital to purchase the machinery, capital to purchase the kinds of machinery to do the kinds of scale that we want to produce. You know, like, so we need to look at the industry, that side of the industry holistically, and make a determination to say, look, listen, we want this here, and the reason we want this here is because this is part of who we are.
And I think, Harry, as we head closer to the top of the hour, right? When we come back, now today's program, unfortunately for those listening out there, we're going to be closing off at 4:30. But Kyle, to the point that you're making, when we come back, we want to talk about the role of e-government and technology in being able to effectively engage stakeholders in conversations like these, so that there's this sort of loop that takes place in how policies develop and that they meet people, to use your words.
Right where they are.
Right where they are.
Exactly.
Before we go to our 4 p.m. news, you mentioned e-government. Kindly just briefly tell persons listening what's e-government.
In a nutshell,
what is that?
It's approach by which, at all levels of public sector services,
right,
you integrate some level of technology so that all of the systems that will operate within the public sector talk to each other. So a simple example, a woman is giving birth. From the time she gives birth and she tells the doctor or the nursing staff at the hospital what the name of the child is, that is entered in the hospital database, and that system speaks directly to the database at the public registry office, and a birth certificate is immediately generated, and that birth certificate has an EID. From the time that child is born, that is one ID number that child will use
have for the rest of their life. And as you say that, let me just tie this in as well.
E-government.
And it could fall into the EBC, because many times we know that it has some persons who pass away and they're still getting poll cards.
Carrie,
that does happen?
I have.
Yes, not that don't happen.
It does.
Bro, not in this country.
It happened
in
last
2025 in Trinidad and Tobago last week.
It happened last week.
It did.
No. Fake news.
It isn't.
AI generated.
I have traveled to places around the world where people's retinas are scanned for as their passport to re-enter their country.
Listen,
I will not call the country because,
don't call them yet.
Because people will say, go on Google.
You know what? Let me go to the news and we'll be coming back to that. Because you know what? I like how that sounds. All right, guys, our 4 p.m. news is next. The courtesy Republic Bank Limited. This is We the Youth. We're going to be right back with more.
Now, a station that's giving you back the power to speak your mind. The all-new Talk Radio, Freedom 106.5.
This is Freedom 106.5 FM, powered by the TBC Radio Network, the nation's biggest and best network, included sister stations, Sky 99.5 FM, Vibe City 105 FM, 95, The Ultimate One, Singit 106.1 FM, and Slam 100.5 FM. This is the 4 p.m. news, courtesy Republic Bank Limited.
Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Jesse Ramdale with headline news here on CNC3, Guardian and the TBC Radio Network. People's National Movement Election Campaign Manager Rohan Sinanan is defending the Elections and Boundaries Commission after the institution came under attack from the opposition United National Congress. The UNC has accused the Elections and Boundaries Commission of being in cahoots with the PNM in order to rig the 2025 general election. Speaking to CNC3 News before the PNM's public meeting in St. James on Wednesday, Sinanan said they are looking for excuses.
If you look at the track record in Trinidad and Tobago, the EBC have served us well. We are the People's National Movement. We have faith in the process. The EBC have never done anything, in our opinion, that gives us anything to worry about. However, if you know that you are facing defeat, you must ensure that there is an excuse so that you don't have to go back to your people and say, well, we did it the wrong way.
National Transformation Alliance's political leader Gary Griffith is defending the impartiality of the Elections and Boundaries Commission amid claims by the UNC of political bias. During a political meeting last evening, Griffith voiced his support for the institution and recognized the importance to adhere to its established procedures. He further condemned political parties for attempting to bring the EBC into disrepute.
The country needs to calm down and appreciate the fact that the EBC, there's been nothing that we have seen to show anything. I mean, the audacity of trying to accuse the EBC of being involved with another political party. It is going to be that type of an election where they're going to do a milli-vanilli, they're going to try to blame it on the rain. And what we have seen so far, the EBC have been very professional. They have done their work.
And Prime Minister Stuart Young is giving the assurance that jobs of workers of the state-run Water and Sewage Authority as well as those employed with the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission are safe. During a public meeting last evening, the Prime Minister dismissed claims by the UNC that there are plans to privatize the organizations and reduce staff.
That sub-cabinet committee report that you're referring to, that I referred to today, was rejected by the cabinet. A committee puts forward a report, a committee makes recommendations, and our position, workers of WASA, workers of TNTech, is that we are not getting rid of WASA and TNTech, and we're not privatizing it, and we're not looking to get rid of workers.
Well, that was your headline news. Look out for another news update at the top of the hour.
And that was the 4 p.m. news on Freedom 106.5 FM, powered by the TBC Radio Network, the nation's biggest and best network. The 4 p.m. news was courtesy Republic Bank Limited.
That email or SMS seems suspicious. Be aware of its intent, could be vicious. That phone call or voice note sounds too serious, too good to be true, probably fictitious. Don't be fooled by online imposters promising things that are gonna cost ya. Be aware, protect your data and money. Stay aware, stay alert, stay secure.
You can outsmart the scammers. A message from Republic Bank. Report any suspicious activity to customer care at rfhl.com.
This is Freedom 106.5 FM, 106.5 FM. Your solution for current affairs and talk. Join the conversation today as we build a better nation. Insightful discussions and interviews on national progress, the latest developments in environmental, social, and governance, plus corporate social responsibility. Freedom 106.5 FM gives you a voice. Freedom to inspire, freedom to change. Speak your mind with Freedom 106.5 FM.
This April, Freedom 106.5 FM presents Voices for the Silent, a campaign dedicated to raising awareness and standing up against child abuse. Too many children suffer in silence. It's time to change that. We're here to arm you with the tools, knowledge, and resources you need to identify, prevent, and respond to child abuse. Join us as we amplify the voices of survivors and take actionable steps to support at-risk children. Together, we can break the silence and be the change they need. Let's be the voice for those who cannot speak. Together, we can make a difference. Stand up, speak out, take action. Supported by the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
Power up your Saturdays with Carrie V's electrifying energy on Speak Your Mind Saturdays. Here, you're not just tuning in, you're transforming the show into a vibrant tapestry of opinions, laughter, and spirited debates. Get set for a day packed with the fun, the burning issues, and Carrie V's infectious personality. Join the fun, fuel the conversation. Speak Your Mind. Saturdays with Carrie V on Freedom 106.5 FM.
Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. It's just about 5 minutes after 4 in this beautiful Trinidad and Tobago. I must say, Rudy, isn't that true?
Let me tell you, whenever I return from anywhere in the world, and I've been privileged to see some beautiful places myself, when that plane flies back over our country,
you don't get depressed and sad.
I actually get I get both excited at first, and I look at the beauty, but then I get sad.
I don't get excited. I don't just like want to make our mountain.
When you look across the nation with that bird's eye view,
right?
You see pockets of development, and then you see huge areas of underdevelopment, and you know, as some I've driven across this country in more times than I could count. I go to Carcass once a year deliberately, because I like the drive,
right?
But it forces me to see parts of the country that people don't even know exist.
Right, right.
I have met people, Carrie, who have never been to Port of Spain.
What are you saying? Come down from there.
I have met people, I have friends who've never been to Tobago.
Well,
I have friends who do not know, and we say this in jest, but they don't know how to navigate past the lighthouse. I had a friend last year.
I don't have any of those friends.
No,
yeah, not in my friend. Not in my contact list, sorry.
I have a friend. I told them meet me at a plaza in Central.
Right.
They took the wrong turn off on the flyover.
What is
They
the wrong
ended up by the brewery.
What? On
You
the
laughing?
main road?
Oh, God.
They had to
That could happen. That could
No.
happen.
No.
That could happen.
Kyle,
Oh,
Kyle,
God.
no,
So-
no.
It's
that-
a real turn off in Shabonas.
Kyle.
It's a real turn
Kyle,
off
there's
in
ways.
Kyle.
There's ways,
Oh,
Kyle.
All you had to do is follow the instructions. That's
No.
it.
My point is, my
Gosh.
point is, Carrie, that unfortunately, you're right. When I look at my country, especially where I sit and what the kind of information I have access to,
Right.
the country is too disaggregated, and there's such a huge, shameful, inequitable distribution of resources.
You know what's my thing? When I jump back on the plane to come back here, the reason why I just feel depressed, Rudy, it's because when I go out there, I feel so safe that when I
you
going
see, you
out and
touching
I
on something.
lime in and I go, I don't feel a sense of, hey, who coming behind me there? Or I wonder if you go and get robbed. I don't feel that way when I out there. Like, honestly.
Well, I gave you all the example of the investor that we were courting.
Yeah, I remember you told
who
us about
went
that.
on a tour of the country. Kyle, I don't know if you ever heard me tell this joke.
No.
It's a serious joke. It's an unfunny joke.
It's an funny joke.
The man came back to the office and said, "You all have a lot of bars around the country." So we said, "Yes, we like to lime," and we were teaching him the word lime. He said, "No, steel bars on every door, every house."
Yeah.
And from where he came, people leave their doors open.
Where you come from?
Some part of the world, I don't know.
Huh?
Probably like Switzerland or something.
Exactly.
I have been in Switzerland, and I can tell you, they lock their doors, but there are no bars. There are no
burglar proof.
There's no burglar proof.
No burglar proof.
You, if you wanted to, you could literally climb up apartment buildings, and because people leave windows and stuff open for
Open.
cooling, right?
Yeah.
Because they're very energy conscious there.
Right.
And people, you're in a restaurant or mall.
Mm-hmm.
People literally get up and leave their phone and their bag and everything.
Right.
Go and do whatever they have to do. Come back.
Come back and it's there.
People have a sense that things that that 99% of the people. I think when I was there, they had one murder for the last 6 months.
What?
Or one murder for the year.
What
I
you
don't want to
saying?
lie, but
Yeah.
it was something where it was like a big deal. Like, there are countries, Carrie, where the prisons are empty.
I read that.
What stops that from happening in our beautiful, blessed Twin Island Republic that is so wealthy? You see this narrative that Trinidad pawns Scranton?
No, that's a lie.
I push back on that.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's a lie.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Just drive down by the port and see what kinds of cars are being offloaded. But no, on a serious note, the country as a whole has a lot of potential, and we have a lot of assets. The asphalt, the pitch lake, it is one of the wonders of the world.
Yeah.
That alone has not been properly monetized. So, Kyle, before the break, we were talking about this idea of bringing an innovation mindset to government policy.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about this e-government. Carrie asked me to sort of simplify it. And I said it was really at its core effectively integrating the right technology at all levels of government so that government really not only speaks itself, but it facilitates some of what you were talking about earlier, where stakeholders, citizens, effectively are part of the solution.
Yeah.
you've met some of the world's top thinkers in technology. You've
Yeah,
you've
man.
been
I've been
traveling.
Is he one of them or just asking?
I would like to think. I would
think so.
That,
No, man.
that we're
I'm
in the
aspiring. I'm
presence.
aspiring. I'm
Aspiring.
aspiring.
All right. Okay.
He's modest.
I'm aspiring.
I realize.
You see, if he went to QRC, I would say yes.
Oh, watch out. Let me don't start that conversation.
He went to the other place.
I mean,
But-
I'm not gonna judge you for that. But it's
we,
cool.
you know, all's well that ends well.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
no, but seriously speaking, what are some of the ideas out there that you've seen that you kind of scratch at and say, that could work back home? We could be doing things like this. There are young people out there who could get involved. What are some of the ideas you think that
I mean, we're down the line of government conversation, right? And point, I think, will be absolutely transformative once we roll it out properly, right?
Mhm.
Where your singular ID gives you access to so much things that is interoperable and can move more quickly. It becomes that point of you don't have to carry 6 forms of ID and all kind of thing to open a bank account.
Yeah.
Right? You renew your license. It actually gets sent to you because it knows that it's expiring. It debits your account and it's sent to you.
Yeah.
Right?
There you
You open a business account. You
Right.
open a register of business quickly online because it already has your information. That's the same information. You don't need to keep carrying the same thing over and over and over.
And you are the only person that have that based on your retina,
Exactly.
as Rudy mentioned, or that specific ID.
Exactly.
And that could work, But what
Exactly.
making it not work? Why haven't we been able to implement something like this? Is it that we had to wait till?
Well, so it's twofold from my perspective. One is that we're generally just slow to adopt things. I don't know why we like being laggards. We like being behind for whatever reason. I think just culturally within us, we've always adopted inheriting things from our colonial past,
Right.
and we do whatever the English say, that sort of thing, and it kind of transposes down into not us being leaders, but us being followers of whatever our colonial masters say. And so that's transposed itself into how we are today.
Kyle, again,
Yeah.
I don't want that to just slip away because I have said Carrie can bear me out. We've spoken about this on our, not just this program, but other programs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That remnant of the colonial approach that many of our elders hold on to. I mean, and not to justify them, but I think it's what they knew, right? It's what was hardwired into their brains.
Of course.
Young people, I think, tell me if I may be being too optimistic, but don't you think that we have started to move away from that, though, our generation and younger? Like it's happening where we're being really, truly independent minded about what we want to keep, what we want to change.
Exactly. I think so. Because as time goes by and the remnants of that sort of colonialism it isn't part of our fiber directly anymore. It's not like our parents or even grandparents. Now it becomes great grandparents and great grandparents, and so it becomes watered down. We begin to forge and create our own senses of identity that is independent of what was. And so I think that is already happening. It's the recognition that we want to be who we are, and we don't always want to follow. We want to forge and create our own paths and do things that we think are innovative for us and our people and our society and our
There
needs.
you go. There you
and
go.
so
And that's what we're trying to get people engaged in.
Yeah.
We, the youth, we think what we want to create.
Yes. Now, Rudy, it's just about 4:15. We have a break to take. And, of course, I have a voice note here. 2 voice notes to play, actually. So when we come back from the break, we're going to play those voice notes. And, of course, we'll be taking your calls, 625-2257 or 627-3223. But before we head to the break, don't forget, coming out from Sold Out Houses in Port of Spain, CPR Productions presents 7-Year Itch. San Fernando, it's your turn. One night, one show at Naparima Bowl on Sunday, 4th of May at 6:30 p.m. Directed by the talented Penelope Spencer, starring Cecilia, Rodney, Peony, Saran, Kevon, and Siobhan. Tickets available at advertised outlets and islandetickets.com. Box office open Thursday, 1st of May. And you can call 466-3111 or 683-4843. Or you can even follow them on Facebook and Instagram at CPR Productions for further information. 7-year inch. 7-year edge. One show. San Fernando. You don't want to miss that one. We're going to take a break and be back. Keep it locked.
This election, you have to have a plan. The PNM plans a new chapter for social services. A fresh approach, innovation, young energy with we boy Stuart T.
We're going to double the number of food cards. We're going to increase the book grants.
Digital verification for grants. No more repeat paperwork.
We will reform the food support and disability grant systems to better protect and empower families.
Reforming the means test to give easier access to households facing temporary hardship. A new chapter for senior citizens. It's a boss manifesto. Dial a ride to help senior citizens get to clinic. Just call and a car picking you up. It's a wave of innovation in this new chapter.
Make sure that our senior citizens are properly looked after with an automated pension system.
Tanti Kamla and all go benefit. PNM have a boss manifesto, so we paid for political announcement. Vote PNM.
PNM, we working together, we building together, and we'll make it better.
That was a paid political announcement.
This April, Freedom 106.5 FM presents Voices for the Silent, a campaign dedicated to raising awareness and standing up against child abuse. Too many children suffer in silence. It's time to change that. We're here to arm you with the tools, knowledge, and resources you need to identify, prevent, and respond to child abuse. Join us as we amplify the voices of survivors and take actionable steps to support at-risk children. Together, we can break the silence and be the change they need. Let's be the voice for those who cannot speak. Together, we can make a difference. Stand up, speak out, take action. Supported by the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
The following is a paid political announcement.
It's voting time. And know all you big and all you have sense. So ask the right question. Kamla, how you just sleep at night? With Philip Alexander in UNC bed?
People don't want nothing to do with these bandits.
Facts.
They don't want the UNC.
Now your UNC base vex. I sure you can't sleep at night.
Kamla know her day over. You have to know it too. UNC there, they bust, they mash up.
Kamla, you know who you're in bed with?
It have plenty more around here.
When she looks to her right, she sees Ansel Roger, who dragged an effigy of her through the streets, calling her all manner of names in the process.
When you're lying in a UNC bed, I sure you can't sleep. You never know the backstabbers. That is a recipe for disaster.
No lies.
All you big and all you have sense. You have one choice this election.
Be red, be ready, and be responsible.
Of course this is a paid political announcement, but it's the truth.
Duh.
That was a paid political announcement.
And welcome back to We the Youth here live on Freedom 106.5 FM with Carrie V.
Hello.
And myself, Rudolph Hanamji, COO of Our Part, the portal for accountability and representation for Trinidad and Tobago. And we're here live with our guest for today, Kyle Maloney, tech innovator, entrepreneur, investor, and innovation specialist. We're talking about being the firewall for young people, being the firewall to protect younger generations from inheriting bad government policy.
And that's as we should. So guys, get into the conversation. Send me a message via WhatsApp 306-1065. And of course, when we come back from taking this break, we're going to be taking your calls at 627-3223 or 625-2257. We the Youth, going all the way to about 4:45 today?
Yes.
4:45 just for today. You ain't getting away at all. So tomorrow is until 5 o'clock. All right? So we're going to take a quick one and be back. It's just about 4:20. We'll be back.
Expression is who we are. Take control. The all-new Talk Radio. Freedom 106.5. Speak your mind.
The following is a paid political announcement.
NT, we
Visit www.ttnta.com. Vote NTA.
That was a paid political announcement.
The best insight, instant feedback, accountability. The all-new Talk Radio Freedom 106.5.
Hey, good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome back. Welcome back. Freedom 106.5 FM, Carrie V is here alongside Rudolph Hanamji. And of course, this is We the Youth, a new program for the youth. By the youth.
By the youth.
Is it by first or of?
Girl,
however
we taking it however we getting it.
Oh, what?
Because honestly, once youth involved,
we inside.
I
good with that.
And we were talking before the break area about shifting these colonial paradigms and, you know, for lack of a better term, the old way of thinking. And you know, elder people in society sometimes get up in their feelings.
Yeah, they just get touchy.
They say, but I think they forget that they had the same challenge we having, you know.
Yeah.
When they were our age, Kyle, I'm sure our parents and grandparents, they were called upstarts by their elders at some point.
Yeah.
But what happens over time is that people sort of settle in and because they've been in control, they've been in power, they've been the ones making money, influencing policy, they take a sort of a stand that I'm not going to give up my space easily.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come and take it from me. And then they create these criteria that you have to meet in order for them to give up the space, right?
Yeah.
But we were talking about ideas where technology can assist with these transitions. So you gave us a few examples. You were talking about the EID, which we talked about as well. What are some other ideas out there to really effectively include young people in decision making, not just at the voting booth?
Yeah, I think with that rollout to the EID,
right?
I think what comes with it is an app, and that is where we begin driving civic engagement at the ground level, right? Of where we begin driving polling, asking questions, that sort of thing.
Referenda.
Exactly, right? Where you have people more actively engaged in what is going on the ground level. And now this becomes just like how people are regularly using your social media apps. This becomes the app on which where you engage with government and tell government how you feel about certain things. You know, if we were to roll that sort of stuff out, that would be transformational for how we engage the people and how the people actively respond and react
in
to
real
decisions.
Time. In real time.
Exactly. That'd be incredible, man.
So maybe you'd be glad to know that one of the projects under our part is actually to design and collaborate with the right players to do just that.
Oh, wow.
So what the approach we're taking is that we're not going to wait until the government decides that whoever the government is, that they want to engage. We are going to take in front as civic-minded young people, use our brains, the technology that we have access to, as you're saying, and bring the solutions forward.
Yeah.
So one of the things that all of the youth leaders have committed to is that once the new government is formed, we're going to be looking at how we can assess government policy and, to your point, in real time, effect changes as required.
Yeah.
Because what about, now, we're talking a lot about crime and security, right? There are a number of AI software or AI empowered software solutions that other countries are already utilizing to combat crime.
Yeah.
Do you think that I mean, it might sound like an obvious question, right? But do you think that we have scratched the surface in terms of you hear the police commissioners?
I think we did. We spent real money. We spent a lot of money.
Well, that's where I was
spent a lot of
going.
money.
We spend billions of dollars.
So much?
We do, but
billions.
What do we have to do for that?
So some people say, well, they rather the police have an AK-47 than some gadget that tracks what's going on with, in their area. But I've heard people talk about data analytics and crime prevention. Like they can actually figure out to a real degree
Yeah.
when crimes might take place and
Yeah.
where and
Yeah.
heat mapping.
Yeah.
Can't we look at solutions like that for Trinidad and Tobago, or is it beyond our capability?
Look, as one senior leader in government told me,
Uh-huh.
he said, "Crime, boy, it's a complex thing, and I think we need to pray about it."
Well,
Oh,
you know, so so
awkward.
so
Trinidad and Tobago has per capita the most amount of religious and religions, religious people and religions in the world.
yeah,
And we just came out of 3 back-to-back religious periods. And then I saw a young girl, 15 years old, was murdered. And the suspect then hanged himself. And Carrie, that really upset me. I didn't eat. I really didn't eat. I've lost my appetite when I was reading the story because apparently the young girl had autism. And we were talking about education. And again, Kyle, in people like that are still falling through the cracks, the neurodiverse amongst us.
yeah,
They're not getting equity in terms of opportunity, and people tell them that they're stupid, that what's wrong with you, because they don't know, they don't understand, they're not diagnosed, right?
yeah.
Technology in education. Couldn't we find ways to incorporate methodologies that help teachers scan children to figure out if they have learning disabilities and to put things in place for them?
Before Kyle answers that one, because that's a very pertinent question, we were speaking about crime, and being the tech guy that you are, what are some of the technology we can implement when it comes to reducing crime? Do you have any idea? Do you think, what can we use?
So I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil recently.
Okay.
And what I couldn't help but see was that there are cameras on almost every corner. You know,
working cameras, you say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Working is the most.
I noticed you did. I noticed you didn't go to a Nordic country or a European country or American country, right?
We don't have to go where life seems perfect.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know? And so I think some of the obvious things we're just not doing.
But we have cameras though, Kyle.
I don't. Okay, it's right. Okay, like you said, working. What they doing? What they doing?
Now, Carrie, no, but this is a serious point. If we were really committed to e-government,
right,
which results in open government, right? Think about it. You are supposed to be able to go on a website and click and see if the camera is working, because that is not private information.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
You are supposed to be able to know if these cameras are working.
Yeah.
Have a point. And we have so many on one pole.
And but Kyle, to sort of extend your point a bit, it's not just that the cameras are viewing and recording, but there's software happening in real time, right? Like what kinds of things people don't know
facial
exist
recognition
out there.
Exactly, facial recognition software that you're able to identify when someone who is of interest passed, when they pass back, etc., and be able to better track and solve crimes.
And look how simple that was.
I mean our detection rate and is really low.
Conviction
it's really
rate,
low.
yeah.
Right? Detection and conviction rate is really low. You know, and I mean, come on, man. Just some of the most basic petty crimes you just don't get. You don't get the solutions.
Also tragic tied to that, and we raised this carry on the episode where we dealt with crime.
Yeah.
We have young people on remand yard.
Yeah.
For years longer than if they were found guilty. You know.
Oh wow.
And young people.
Yeah.
And I have to say, young Afro-Trinidadians mainly.
Yeah.
Something is not right with that. That entire formula needs to be fixed. So we're just at the 4:30 mark. So we'll stick a pin there, and Carrie will take us to the break. And when we come back, we'll kind of get Kyle's views on some of, what are the key policies he'd like to see moving forward.
Yes, of course. So, guys, continue sending me those messages via WhatsApp 3061065. We're going to take a quick one and be back. This is We the Youth with Rudolph Hanamji, Carrie V, and our guest, Kyle Maloney. We'll be back with that one. Keep it locked.
political announcement.
PNM coming! The PNM manifesto is real. You dig? Come, take a dive. Providing free, inclusive learn to swim classes for all children. A responsible government touching all aspects of life.
We vote in PNM on election day.
First-time homeowners, there's a $20,000 grant for you from the PNM manifesto. You don't know. If you inherit property valued up to $4 million, we're removing the stamp duty on that. Wow!
PNM coming!
Added to that, school uniform prices going down by 12.5%. All the VAT removed. Single parents in HDC communities and public servants coming soon. We introducing childcare and daycare services just for you. And yes, Inspector, a community center is a center for the community. That's why we refurbished 25 existing centers and constructed 26 brand new community centers across this country in the last 10 years. So vote for the PNM because that is a vote for the people.
We vote in PNM on election day.
Of course we paid for this political announcement. You think we get it for free?
That was a paid political announcement.
Mark your calendars. The TTMA Mother's Day pop-up shop is back. Saturday, 3rd May at the Center of Excellence, Macoya. Bring the family and support local this Mother's Day. Come and enjoy products from over 90 amazing local SMEs from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The TTMA Mother's Day pop-up shop powered by NFM New Wave Marketing, Nedco and Freedom 106.5 FM.
Come April 28th. Citizens will head to the polls in an historic general election.
It's time for the people to decide which party will take the reins of government for the next 5 years.
Every voice matters, every vote counts.
From education to healthcare, to jobs and security, the election outcome will affect lives for generations to come.
Guardian Media is on the beat. We're in the communities, at political rallies,
with expert analysis on the marginals that will make the difference.
We'll be tracking the highs and lows of campaign 2025 as parties battle for power.
When TNT decides, Guardian Media delivers results.
When we come together for a common cause, we do more than help. We move a nation because united is the way. This year, volunteer with your company for United Way's Day of Caring on Sunday, May 18th to create lasting change. One school, one child, one community at a time. Or donate towards this cause at uwtt.com. It isn't just today. It's a movement for a stronger, more caring Trinidad and Tobago. United is the way. Find out more at uwtt.com.
In a time of promises and politics, only one thing truly matters: your voice, your freedom. As Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls, Freedom 106.5 FM brings you the clearest conversations, the toughest questions, and real issues affecting your vote. No spin, no fluff, just fearless talk radio, live analysis, and unfiltered voices from every corner of the nation. Stream us live at www.freedom1065.com and follow the discussion on our social media pages at Freedom 106.5 FM, your voice, your freedom, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Like yellow is the color for recklessness? All you hear the latest from Kamala? But what kind of mad scene is this?
We will prepare a divestment plan for the state enterprises and a debt workout strategy.
Let me break down this divestment thing, plain and simple. She say government have no place in business. That mean all state enterprises will no longer be under the government. WASA, Tiontech, NP, Port Authority, just to name a few.
We will transform the remaining state enterprises to publicly owned companies.
So who all you feel will be in charge of these companies? Their financiers? Duh. Tens of thousands of workers will be sent home. Who you feel is the first to go home?
The first thing private companies will do is get rid of all the workers and shut down everything and bring in who they want. And I guarantee you it ain't gonna be us.
It's job loss after job loss. When the Kamala cabal get their dirty hands on a company like Tiontech, Lord knows what we will have to pay for electricity. That is mad people thing. So that is why we come in with this paid political announcement. And on the 28th of April, protect your jobs. We vote in PNM. PNM, PNM, PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
The best insight, instant feedback, accountability. The all-new Talk Radio Freedom 106.5.
Welcome back to We the Youth live here on Freedom 106.5 FM. We have been engaging with youth leaders from every sector of society over the last 3 weeks, Carrie.
Yeah, we have.
Trying to gain insights into their perspectives on public policy.
Yeah. Now, I know we have a few calls. The line has been lighting up.
Let's take them.
Let's take it. Yeah. Let's see who is there. Let's check line 1 or line 2. Line 2. Let's go.
Welcome to We the Youth. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Hanamji and your guest, Kyle and Caribbean Princess Town.
Hey, Princess Town in the house. Talk to us.
Yeah, quickly. I want to share this my thought that success is not an objective or a goal. It is a process, a philosophy, a work, in progress. It's a continuous process.
Yes, a journey, if you will.
You're right, a journey that really has no end because it continues. That's one. And secondly, I have been advocating the concept of one Mr. Don Basil Matthews, who was the founder of the St. Benedict's College in Larro, Maine.
Okay.
My information is that he articulated and advocated a concept, a philosophy where you bring education, sport, culture, and religion into one format and have that blend of both. And the end result is that you end up with a student or whatever, well-rounded, well-built.
All right, caller, you're breaking up a bit
Yes,
there.
we got some friction there.
Yeah, so give us a call back or send us a voice note. We're going to take one quick break and be back. So keep it up.
The following is a paid political announcement.
We read and we ready the new chapter. The People's National Movement, where there's always good news.
I pledge to you as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, we are not touching the senior citizens' pensions, all public service pensions, all retired public servants who receive a public service pension will now receive that tax-free.
No need for tension. Everybody getting the pension.
The PNM not touching your pension. We're not taking your pension down. We're not shifting the goalpost. Your pension is safe with the PNM.
We responsible, very responsible. We read and we ready. Vote PNM.
We go country before party. PNM, we working together. We building together. And we'll make it better.
We paid for this political ad because we care about our seniors.
On April 28th, vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
And welcome back to We the Youth here on Freedom 106.5 FM, where we're engaging youth leaders each day leading up to the elections to discuss public policy and politics, which is really the business of the people. We've been touching on every sector of society, from education, healthcare to technology and agriculture. And today we're on a special high-level view of governance and government. We're here with Kyle Maloney, tech innovator and entrepreneur, and we're discussing e-government, open government, technology integration into creating public policy in a way that genuinely engages the population, and specifically younger people who have so many ideas, solutions, and energy to complement, if not to replace, older ways of thinking. And Kyle, as we get to the wrap of today's program, again, because of your breadth of travels and engagement and networking and the projects that you're engaged in, we always sort of ask the guests, if you were, and in your case, let's say, the Minister of National Technology Integration,
That sound,
I
that
just
sounds
created
weird.
a new
realize-
ministry.
I mean,
we can just stick with digital transformation.
But you know,
No.
But you know, people create new ministries, right?
I like when you hear the name of the ministry, you know, exactly what it's
about.
Yes.
Digital transformation was launched without a website. So I wasn't sure if the transformation was good or bad, right? But I am saying we need technology integration, right?
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, what would be one or some of your policy prescriptions? Like, you would wake up the next morning and say, look, I've taken an oath to, dutifully serve my country.
Yeah.
What would the Minister Kyle Maloney put in place for us to leapfrog us ahead to solve the problems you've been helping us identify?
I think one of the big things that we've always ranked poorly on is ease of doing business.
Gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
You just triggered about 3/4 of the population.
Yeah, exactly. So a big piece of ease of doing business is just how physical it has to be for so many of the processes, right? And so I would mandate that as one of my biggest immediate problems to solve, which will have a significant trickle-on effect, right? The ease of money now flowing will be a lot higher, right? And so people can create more quickly, people can do business a lot more easily,
create jobs and invest their capital.
Exactly, right? And so if there's like one of those taps that you open that ends up like flowing off to so many other streams, I think that is one that would really just have things flow tremendously, right? And then another one is digital skills education, right? We always like to refer to, when they think of like the e-government, they always think of Estonia, but there is Rwanda, right? Which is not like your Scandinavian country, right? It's a country in Africa that has focused on saying, look, we're going to drive e-governance within our country as well, right?
And by the way, they came out of years of civil war.
Exactly, civil war. Exactly, right?
It's not like some country that had it easy.
Well, Estonia actually came out of war as well too, and so. But anyways,
gosh, I don't like where this story is going. But that's a good point.
But the moral of what I'm saying is that the expectation and the challenge they knew they were going to have is that a lot of the population will not be digitally skilled, and the uptake might be low, right? But what needs to come with it aggressively is a digital skills training across the country, right? You set up these hubs across the nation and getting people to understand how to do all of their processes online, right? And so you move a country that would, even though you roll out something, the uptake might be low because they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, and people are afraid of change.
Exactly, right? And so the next one I would push is that digital skills training across the board that would now really put the ability to do a lot of things that people can do online, allow more people to know about it, so they then not only
and to
become
feel comfortable and empowered.
Exactly. So that's another one where you open that tap and so many other streams of impact is going to happen, right? Those are my two biggest things as a quick, easy takeaway from what we're discussing here today.
What about, because I have had the idea that, because of, again, I have nothing better to do with my life, Carrie, than to read government reports. You know, there's a huge volume of public data.
Yeah.
But it is not synthesized and it is not cleaned and presented in a user-friendly manner.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, Minister Maloney, to put some resources behind a data analytics hub.
Yeah.
Where, again, we get a lot of young people involved in building our programs and hacking, creating our own made-to-order programs that could use AI and take all this data in and help us make decisions better. Because Carrie was talking about flooding.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those flooding reports and maps and graphs have never been digitalized.
Yeah.
So somebody has to sit down with all this data and process it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Great point. I think actually I was thinking about that to do this as a project myself, right? Which is download a lot of the information around doing business in Trinidad, all the different steps that you need to take, create my own GPT, and have launch that to the public, and now people will use that to ask questions of
right.
how do I pay my taxes? Where do I go? Like, what happens? You know, like, and so now, yeah, we'll leverage.
So Carrie, you approve my pick for my cabinet, right?
Yeah. I did approve it.
We have 20 picks for our cabinet over the last 3 weeks, right?
And that could work, That could work.
But that is what we're talking about. Because, Kyle, we said on the program here openly that we think whoever forms government, one of their mandates should be that every minister should have a younger understudy. And every board for each state company intentionally should have a few young people on it. And to our mind, that is the only way that we can create a place where we say we the youth are effectively engaged. But Carrie, we
have to take a quick one. But when we come back, I know we have to wrap up. So we'll wrap up this conversation that we have because I have plenty bills to pay in our car. You understand? Hey, we can't do the thing without paying the bills. You understand? So when we come back, we'll wrap up this discussion, this conversation here with Kyle Maloney. And of course, I'm here alongside Rudolph Hanamji. We're going to be back. This is We the Youth.
The following is a paid political announcement.
This election, you have to have a plan. The PNM plans a new chapter for social services. A fresh approach, innovation, young energy with we boy Stuarty.
We're going to double the number of food cards. We're going to increase the book grants.
Digital verification for grants. No more repeat paperwork.
We will reform the food support and disability grant systems to better protect and empower families.
Reforming the means test to give easier access to households facing temporary hardship. A new chapter for senior citizens. It's a boss manifesto. Dial a ride to help senior citizens get to clinic. Just call and a car picking you up. It's a wave of innovation in this new chapter.
Make sure that our senior citizens are properly looked after with an automated pension system.
Tanti Kamla and all go benefit. PNM have a boss manifesto, so we paid for political announcement. Vote PNM.
PNM, we working together, we building together, and we'll make it better.
That was a paid political announcement.
In a time of promises and politics, only one thing truly matters: your voice, your freedom. As Trinidad and Tobago heads to the polls, Freedom 106.5 FM brings you the clearest conversations, the toughest questions, and real issues affecting your vote. No spin, no fluff, just fearless talk radio, live analysis, and unfiltered voices from every corner of the nation. Stream us live at www.freedom1065.com and follow the discussion on our social media pages at Freedom 106.5 FM, your voice, your freedom, only on Freedom 106.5 FM.
Mark your calendars. The TTMA Mother's Day pop-up shop is back. Saturday, 3rd May at the Center of Excellence, Macoya. Bring the family and support local this Mother's Day. Come and enjoy products from over 90 amazing local SMEs from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The TTMA Mother's Day pop-up shop, powered by NFM, New Wave Marketing, Nedco, and Freedom 106.5 FM.
The following is a paid political announcement.
They drained $18 billion in cash from the NGC. They squandered $24 billion from the Treasury in their final months. They approved contracts padded by hundreds of millions for their financiers and friends. They used the offices of the President, Parliament, and Cabinet to protect corrupt cronies, as was done in Section 34. Now, those friends and financiers are trying to buy this election and their freedom. Don't let them. If the UNC wins, law, order, and justice lose. The PNM is a responsible government on a solid foundation. Together, let's write the next chapter. On April 28th, vote PNM.
That was a paid political announcement.
The best insight, instant feedback, accountability. The all-new Talk Radio Freedom 106.5.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's just about 9 minutes away from the top. And I'm here with Rudolph Hanamji and, of course, our guest,
Kyle Maloney,
Yeah.
tech entrepreneur and innovation specialist. Carrie, it's that time of the day where we're about to wrap We the Youth. It's been a wonderful conversation, Kyle, you know, really exploring at different levels the role that technology, but also a mindset shift can have the impact, just changing how you look at problems and how you identify solutions.
Yeah.
How easily you can, to use your analogy or your reference, you can open one or two taps that have many streams of impact.
Exactly.
So to that point, you know, as we're about to leave We the Youth out there with some takeaways, what's your call to action to young people out there, whether they're from our generation or the ones coming up after? What you really want them to do, how you want them to think, what you want them to get involved in to take our country forward and to empower themselves?
Yeah, I think despite what you may be hearing, we're living in a time of abundance, right? We have a lot more access to information and resources than ever before, right? Just the fact that you could spend $30 and get some data on your phone, and you could use that same data to go on Instagram or TikTok. You could use that same data to use ChatGPT and be learning about AI and be learning about anything. And we're now moving into a world that is going to be so AI driven and powered that is going to be so different than anything that we've ever felt and experienced before. And so if I want to tell my young people something, it is to lean into understanding how to leverage these technology tools for everything, right? No matter if you're a designer, no matter if you want to write music, no matter if you want to start a business, understanding and how to leverage the AI tools to create solutions for the problems within your life and create solutions that could be scalable is going to be absolutely transformative to what you can do in the world in the future.
Wow. Lean in
big time. And I promise you, you'll be so much better off for it.
But sometimes some persons don't know where to start. So where can they start? Yes, you say let's say for instance, GPT, right? You said that, you know, but sometimes people don't know where to start.
Yeah. So the cool thing about it is that right before I was coming here, I was using it to prep for the interview, right? And I was using the voice mode. And you could use the voice mode and say, ChatGPT, I hear this guy on this radio station today, Kyle Maloney, say that I need to lean into AI, but I don't know where to begin. This thing kind of confusing to me, and I'm not a tech person. Where to start? I mean, we could use it right now.
And that's it.
and that's it.
That's how simple it is. Right,
exactly.
right.
It'll begin to give you
No,
a path.
Carl, he's right. It sounds almost like you're making it up.
Yeah.
And that's why, at the same time, while we understand the plight of many, we have to push back on them a little bit and say to them, you can do better.
Right.
There are opportunities out there, and people will come forward and assist and ensure that the right public policies are put in place to make it better. But while that is happening, you can do something else than some of the bad things that people choose to do. So we don't ever justify those choices. We understand sometimes the linear trajectory that has led people there.
Right.
But you can, as Kyle is saying, wake up in the morning and make a shift. And there are opportunities out there.
Right.
So we the youth today we spoke a lot about open government.
I could give one really cool example, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
That I heard about just last week. I met this guy who used to work in the police, right? He used to work
locally.
Exactly. TTPS, right? Working in TTPS for years. And he started learning about how to leverage ChatGPT and other AI tools. And he applied to work for this top content creator that has hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube. He went from working in the police to working for this creator, making $80,000 US a year.
Foreign exchange, guys.
Ding, ding, ding.
80,000. You know how much that is? That's about $6,000 plus $7,000 a month. All right? A month. because he learned how to leverage these tools.
Yeah.
You know, look, the world of opportunity is now flipped on its head. The things that you can do if you're sitting down in Mayaro, Guayaguayario, Icacas, that you couldn't do before is absolutely insane. You know, it's just the exposure to knowing that it is possible.
Right. And you say it's really simple to start.
Exactly.
You just pull it up, go and download it.
Yeah.
Right? And you just tell it what you want to tell it. You can just say it.
It's what people use the technology for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's what you use your data plan for. Are you going to use your data plan to simply look at some binge series? Or are you going to go to the University of YouTube and pull up things like what Kyle is suggesting and learn a skill? So use your data.
Use your data properly, no man. Yeah.
Maybe that should be a news, and we can have a hashtag.
Hashtag use your data properly. Use your data.
Plan your data. Have a plan. Data.
Don't start now, Rudy. Don't start.
No, but we're laughing, but these really are simple public policies that should be taken on board, and the government has the state's resources at its disposal.
Yeah.
We want to solve these problems, empower young people in these ways, encourage them, and educate them.
So tell us, Rudy, what can we look forward to tomorrow? What can our listeners look
Well,
out for
tomorrow is going to be a special capstone episode of We the Youth.
Nice.
We have 2 other politically minded young people coming in.
Cool.
And we're going to use tomorrow to really assess the overall campaigns that we've been observing.
Right.
And to sort of settle in our minds what were some of the overall gaps that all of these campaigns have missed still or not closed.
Right.
And at the same time, highlight some of the interesting policies that we've heard. But again, not calling names, because at the end of the day, it's not our role to tell you people out there, young people out there, whom you should be voting for.
Correct.
You have to go and do some of the investigation
yeah.
and use ChatGPT, as Kyle is saying, and ask it. If you don't have time to read 400 pages of manifestos, ask ChatGPT to help you.
Upload the manifesto
Yeah.
and ask it questions about it.
About things that are important to you. So tomorrow, we're going to have a capstone discussion about youth in politics, young people still being used as PR tokens for politicians. Or do we really have a say? And if we don't, how do we transition and have a say from April 29th? Because, Carrie, what did you ask earlier? What happens next?
And at the end of the day, there's life after elections.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Because on election night, the way people just be balling and carrying on.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
See you tomorrow. On
5 p.m. news is next. All right, guys. And we are looking to head to our 5 p.m. news courtesy JTA Supermarket. We'll be back.
Expression is who we are. Take control. The all-new Talk Radio. Freedom 106.5. Speak your mind.
This is